All right, let's just jump right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to completely pull back the curtain on the unseen forces that dictate our everyday lives. I'm talking about social dynamics, influence, and the unspoken rules of the world around us. Have you ever felt like there's a hidden game being played right in front of you, but you somehow missed the rulebook? Well, today we are going to decode that exact game. We're pulling our insights today from a truly fascinating, deeply researched, and, let's be honest, sometimes pretty controversial treatise, The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. It's a dense text. It's absolutely packed with historical anecdotes from Machiavelli to Sun Tzu. But rather than just painfully reading off a list of 48 rules, we're going to distill its core foundational philosophy. We're going to get into the exact mindset you need to navigate a world where, secretly, everyone just wants a little more control. So I want to start off by asking you a question. Are you a master of your circumstances, or are you just a pawn in someone else's game? Seriously, think about your daily interactions for a second. At work, in your friend groups, even in your local community. Because the truth is, when we feel helpless, we feel absolutely miserable. Nobody wakes up wanting less power. We all kind of want more. But how you actually go about getting it? Well, that's the ultimate puzzle. To help solve that puzzle, here's our roadmap for today. We are going to cover 1. The game of duplicity. 2. The myth of the non-player. 3. Rule 0. Master your emotions. Then we'll dive into Theme 1, Shaping Reputation, and Theme 2, Strategic Action. Finally, we'll wrap the whole thing up with the inescapable game. Section 1, The Game of Duplicity. To really understand modern power dynamics, the text argues that we actually need to look backward, specifically to the old aristocratic courts of kings and queens. I mean, today, we live in a world that demands we appear perfectly civilized, fair, decent, and democratic, right? Overt power grabs are a massive faux pas. But the author argues that just beneath this polite democratic surface is a cauldron of dark emotions: greed, envy, manipulation. The inner reality is exactly the same as those ancient courts. The game hasn't changed at all. It's just gone underground. You basically have to be congenial, yet incredibly cunning. And that brings us to the ultimate model for success in this environment, the courtier. Back in the day, if a courtier curried favor too obviously, their rivals would absolutely destroy them. Violent, overt power moves were punished instantly. So the really successful courtiers, they learned to make all of their moves indirect. If they had to take down an opponent, they did it with an iron hand inside a velvet glove, and usually with the sweetest smile on their face. They used seduction, charm, and strategy, always planning several moves ahead. It was basically civilized war. This quote from the great Renaissance diplomat Niccolo Machiavelli perfectly captures the central danger we face today. Any man who tries to be good all the time is bound to come to ruin among the great number who are not good. It's the core warning of our source text. If you play by society's polite rules a little too strictly, if you take that outward appearance of fairness entirely at face value, you are going to get crushed by the people who aren't quite so naive. Section 2, The Myth of the Non-Player. Okay, we all know people who claim they want absolutely nothing to do with power games or office politics, right? Well, the text basically says, beware of these supposed non-players. While they loudly express their distaste for power, they are very often the most adept players in the room. Just look at their strategies. Demanding strict equality? That often just means suppressing top performers to redistribute rewards however they see fit. Utilizing perfect, blunt honesty? It's a strategy to convince you of their noble character, which is actually a super subtle form of coercion. And displaying weakness isn't true powerlessness. It is a highly effective way to gain sympathy and manipulate the people around them. Even acting purely naive throws dust in our eyes. The takeaway here is that the folks making the biggest show of their moral superiority are often wearing the cleverest disguises for their own power plays. Section 3, Rule 0. Master your emotions. Before we can even touch the specific laws of power, there is an absolute prerequisite. Mastering this game takes years of practice, and the foundation is total emotional control. The text outlines this really destructive domino effect, particularly when it comes to anger. Anger is the worst possible response because it instantly clouds your reason and your vision. And the second you can't see a situation clearly, objective strategy is completely out the window. Plus, acting in anger always makes things less controllable and just heightens your enemy's resolve to bring you down. If you need to defeat an opponent, you have to do it without emotion. So let's see how this control builds into our actual strategies. Section 4, Theme 1, Shaping Reputation. All right, once your emotions are entirely in check, the very first thing you need to manage in this modern court is exactly how other people perceive you. These 3 specific laws show how your reputation is both a defensive shield and an offensive weapon. Law 5 literally says to guard your reputation with your life. It's the cornerstone of power. You can intimidate and win with reputation alone, but the second it slips, you're vulnerable on all sides. Law 6 takes this a step further. Court attention at all costs. What is unseen basically counts for nothing. You have to stand out. You have to appear larger, and honestly, a bit more mysterious than the timid masses. And then there's Law 25, which is so empowering. Recreate yourself. Do not just accept the roles that society hands you. Forge a new, commanding identity. You are the master of your own image. Section 5, Theme 2, Strategic Action. Now we're shifting from how you look to how you actually execute your moves in the real world. This cluster of laws is all about precise execution. Law 9, win through actions, never through argument. Any triumph you think you've gained by arguing is a Pyrrhic victory. It just stirs up this long-lasting resentment. You need to demonstrate your point without saying a word. Law 28 tells us that timidity is incredibly dangerous, so enter action with boldness. If you make a mistake by being audacious, you can usually correct it with even more audacity. And finally, Law 29, plan all the way to the end. Don't just impulsively react to what's happening right now. You have to anticipate the consequences, the obstacles, the random twists of fate. That is how you gently guide fortune, instead of getting completely overwhelmed by it. Section 6, the inescapable gain. If we accept the premise that society is basically a giant scheming court, then whining about it or trying to totally opt out is only going to make you powerless and miserable. To survive and really thrive, the author uses this brilliant metaphor. You have to adopt the face of Janus, the double-faced Roman deity of doorways. You literally need to distance yourself from the emotional present. Keep one face looking continuously to the future so you can plan all the way to the end, and keep the other face looking to the past so you can actually learn from it. That objective distance is the exact tool you need to handle danger, no matter where it comes from. So we end right back where we began, but hopefully with a slightly sharper perspective. The text suggests that, surprisingly, the better you are at dealing with power, the better friend, partner, and person you can actually become. Why? Because you aren't just blindly bungling through life causing unintended damage. You learn how to make others feel great about themselves while still fiercely protecting your own interests. If the game of power is inescapable, will you choose to be a master artist or remain a willing victim? It's a pretty provocative question to take into your interactions tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this structured look at the hidden mechanics of influence helps you navigate your own world with just a little more clarity.